got mail. Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computer Stew now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next hour, along with Gal.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. And Katie's here.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm hoping that Nick is going to join us. He didn't say that he was not, but we'll see. Spence is still in Alaska.
I think it's
How was?
Huh?
I think it's kind of funny, charming maybe. I don't know what the word is. Like Spence lives in North Carolina, but works in Alaska, and so like all the time he's like going back and forth. I couldn't do that. That's a lot.
Commute.
But
It's a long commute.
yeah, right. It's just funny that I can imagine like he's driving the bus or whatever, and the tourists are like, "Oh yeah, where are you from?" He's like, "North Carolina." Like what?
Well,
Yeah.
everybody in Alaska is from somewhere else.
Oh, are they? I've never
Yeah,
been.
I did a trip like that. We went on a cruise, and it was a cruise, and it's exactly the same. The seasonal workers, they're all from the States somewhere. So
Mm.
Well, he's enjoying himself, and that's what's important. All right, our number is 561 518 9773, and today's show is made
sorry.
possible by Vimix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. Would you say, Gal? I'm sorry.
Uh, sorry, I was visibly yawning. That's
Oh,
rude.
that's
Sorry.
okay. That's fine. So, there's one big news last week, but what happened that you want to talk about?
I finally learned so a couple weeks ago, I talked about the 3D printing in a vat of gel,
Yeah.
and I wasn't sure how it was done, but I saw a video this morning actually, and so it's done with a needle, and so the needle goes down and pushes out the material, and because the gel supports the model, it's a lot faster to print because it doesn't need supports. Like when you 3D print something, it it also prints the model as well as the supports that hold the model while it's printing. And because the gel just like holds it while it's printing, the needle just goes down and it just zips around and goes zoo, 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 and like prints it at like a fraction of the time. And
Wow.
the video said that a 50-hour print can be printed in the gel in like 2 hours or something because of the support stuff takes a long time and you have to um move the model so that it physically can get printed, if that makes sense with the support. But if it prints in the gel, it like doesn't matter what orientation it's at because the gel is all encompassing. Yeah, so that was cool.
However, there's a chance of uh, uh, capturing gel in right
Yeah,
in a closed. That's yeah. That sounds like the danger here, right?
that's
Something
true.
to keep in mind.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the gel is made of. They did say that it's reusable, so you just pull your model out and then fill up the little bit that I guess got captured or moved or whatever, and then print
Yeah,
again.
interesting.
But yeah, it's exciting. I like new stuff.
The-
Eventually, I think what they're gonna do is they're just gonna have a cube of gel and zap it with like UV light or something, and then it's just gonna make a 3D model. Like how and like when photos were first invented or whatever, and they had that huge box and they were and or like the big camera box and the guy would go under it and he would like take a picture and he goes, he was like, say cheese, and it would go or like a big explosion happened and the photo they would go on the plate or whatever. That's gonna be like 3D printed. They're gonna go say cheese and it's gonna make it.
yeah, it'll be already built in memory, and all you have to do is just zap it out.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Looks like Nick is having some problems. I guess that means that he did not find the problem with the PC. Mm. Um, I I found, I don't know who left it here, a Logitech keyboard, that K750, that uh, is solar charged.
Yeah. I've I've two of these. One of them is dead, but yeah.
So I they said that, I mean, I was cleaning up and I found it. And I put it under a light because they say if you put it under a 40-watt lamp, I mean, it's good enough. But then I was reading and it says, oh, but you need the adapter, the dongle for it. It's unifying,
Yeah. Basically,
which I didn't have.
if you do not have any other Logitech
No,
equipment at home,
no, not wireless. No.
I have. I can get
Well,
you.
anyway, I ordered one. It was like $8, whatever. So I
Okay.
ordered one from
It
eBay
used to
and
be
I got it.
25,
Huh?
so that's a good. It used to be $25, so
Well,
it's a
these are
good jump.
used, remember? So I said, yeah, it's fine.
Still, yeah,
But yeah, it works really nice. It's a nice keyboard and it's
it's a
heavy.
very good keyboard.
It's not a light keyboard by no means.
No, it's because everything that you feel there, it's the battery.
Well, no, 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 no. Uh-uh. Because I changed the battery. The battery is just a 2032. It's a button battery in the back. And they tell you, HP doesn't want you to take it out. And it was a
Logitech, yeah,
job. There's a place where you can slide it out, but you have to fight it and force it and pry it to take it out. But yeah, it's a rechargeable 2032. It's not a
right.
Yeah, it's not a CR 2032. It's an ML something like that 2032. So no, the weight is couldn't be unless there's another battery in there. I don't know. But yeah, it's a nice keyboard. There he is, and he's not on his computer. Oh, there he is. He is on the computer.
Good morning.
Morning.
Having some weird audio issues this morning.
Oh, so the fact that you didn't come in video is not because you had a problem with the.
No, I was just
Oh,
trying to figure out what was
okay.
going on with my
Okay.
audio setup.
So, I mean, I was talking about Logitech because Logitech has quietly increased prices on several flagship products by as much as 25%, according to YouTuber. The MX Master 3S mouse now costs $120, up 20% from its previous 100 price point. While the MX Keys S keyboard has jumped 18% to 130. The K400 Plus wireless touch keyboard saw the most dramatic percentage increase from $28 to $35. Um, these price adjustments implemented without formal announcement come amid ongoing tariff pressure, and which is affecting PC hardware manufacturer. Chinese electronics maker Anker also recently implemented similar increases, suggesting a broader industry trend.
Yeah, I'm sure some of it, I'm sure a little bit of it, I'm sure is tariffs, and a little
Yeah,
bit of it is just the still high level of inflation that has been going on for years now.
right.
The tariffs give these companies kind of a good opportunity to do that, I think.
Mm. Yeah, without saying, "Hey, we raising the prices," they are blaming it on that. Yeah, yeah,
Correct. It's a good and there's obviously truth to it as well, but I think it can give them the opportunity to reset pricing from, the last couple of years when it would have not looked good if they had increased
Right.
prices in the last 3 or 4 years.
And there was an article that also said that Amazon is going to start displaying how much more this item costs because of tariffs.
I love that.
Mm.
And that,
Transparency.
Yeah, let me, instead of, all of Amazon is a lot of Amazon is just knockoff products. I mean,
right.
you look, and it's very hard to tell if you're buying a knockoff product or not because the information is so limited on Amazon. Um, I saw a great post over last week about this. And somebody was posting about Shark Bite, the Shark Bite fittings. I know you're familiar with them, Amnon.
Yeah.
The plumbing fittings. You can go on Amazon and search for a Shark Bite fitting, and yes, you'll find an actual Shark Bite branded, and then you'll find hundreds of
Knockoffs. Yeah.
knockoffs, and it's very hard to tell whether what you're buying is actually from Shark Bite. Obviously, they have their official store, sure, but there's a lot of other products that seem as if they are Shark Bite fittings, and they're not. They're coming, they're coming in directly from China, and with this new tariff stuff, it should allow consumers to actually be able to buy if they want to buy a name brand product, it should allow them to actually do it, which will be good, I
Yeah.
think.
And that particular item that you're talking about, you don't want to buy a cheap knockoff.
No, what kind of material, what kind of brass is being used? What kind of,
Well, yeah.
what's the level of the plastic that makes up the fitting itself? I mean, you're talking about replacing piping in your house.
Yep.
You want something that has got some level of QC and quality
Hmm.
control, and that's not to say that all of the Amazon equivalents don't, but it's very hard to tell. So I think that's
I
great.
some of the so I'm looking into a new product, printing prints, which is it's a common product that people sell, prints of artwork and stuff. But the big debate is, do you hire it out to a company that has multi-million dollar printers that could spit it out really fast and relatively cheap, or do you buy your own kind of expensive, well, personal printer or whatever, anywhere between the range of 200 to $1,000? Anyway, so I was working on new designs, and I went to this company that sells prints, and I was gonna order, but then I saw that they added the tariff information, and when I was gonna go buy the prints, the tariffs were about half the cost of the order, and I was like, "Dang, now I have to." Other websites are posting when you check out, like, how much the tariffs are adding to it, and so now I'm putting a pause on it because 'cause I'm like, "Well, do I spend money, like, with the 3D printing stuff where I bought my own manufacturing machine essentially to self-manufacture? It's like, do I do that with this new product line
Hmm.
or what?" So, I don't know, it's and especially with prints, there's not a super high margin. Like when people go to the store and they're gonna buy a print of artwork or whatever, they're like, I don't want to spend more than $10 or $5 or whatever. And to print on high quality paper with ink and all that stuff, it can get really expensive. So I'm just like, oh, up in the air. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do, but talk about, adding the and I'm glad that they listed the tariffs. Because that affects my decision on whether or not I'm gonna do it. I mean, it sucks for them because,
What country was it clear what country the tariffs were, like where they were from? What the tariffs were being
yeah,
thrown
so the
on?
company I thought the company was in the US because their
Mhm.
website makes it look that way, but they're actually based in China. A
Ah,
and and, uh, the company is the most recommended, when I was doing research on for the specific type of print that I wanted to do. And they're really, affordable, and they're still affordable comparatively. But again, I the reason I stay ahead on my products on TikTok and stuff is that I'm able to um not sell a cheap product, but like the price is pretty good, and I do that by cutting margins on other things or whatever. Versus like people that can sell on Amazon, whatever, they have to inflate it. And anyways, it's just things I have to navigate.
I have somebody that you need to talk to who has the ability to do that, some of that large scale printing.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
interested.
I'll connect you. He's got the big HP, large, super big HP printers and stuff like that.
My company has a printing section of it or whatever, where they print products, and
Mhm.
they bought 2 giant HP printers that were $1.2 million each. And what was wild is we were doing a tour of the manufacturing factory, whatever, and just to replace the ink was like $35,000 per refill. I was like, "Holy Toledo!" I was like, "I don't need that." It was just insane. It was like the machines were the size of a bus, and it just like the mechanics in it. It was insane. Like seeing something that big and crazy and efficient. I was like, wow. Now I know why it's worth $1 million, but it's just pretty insane. I don't tour factories, so I don't see like large scale manufacturing stuff, but it was really impressive.
Yeah, that's a lot. Oof.
Yeah.
When you think about it, you walk into any, you walk into any
Wait. It's a
restaurant or
lot, but
store.
Amnon has one in the backyard, no?
Yeah.
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 It only
It's in
connects via serial though, Gal. So it's
it's in the
it's a
shed.
parallel port printer. So yeah, large
um,
form printing is still a very expensive thing to do. I mean, you walk into any restaurant or any store, if there's big signs, those are print. Somebody is printing those. That something
yeah.
has to put all that stuff together.
That's where HP makes their money, because the employees have to be sent off to get trained, and then they charge the training. It's just insane.
Um, talk talk about tariffs again. Temu has said it will stop selling goods imported from China in the US directly to customers from its platform.
Well, what is it gonna sell?
The online marketplace said sales would now be handled by locally based sellers
Yep.
with orders fulfilled from within the country. The move comes as the duty free rule for low value packages is closed. They don't blame it on tariffs, they blame it because before they didn't have to pay any kind of
Yeah.
duty.
This has been a long-term scam
Yep.
that has been able. The reason that AliExpress and Temu were able to generate to get so much of the marketplace was anything under $800 or
Right.
something
Yep.
like that
800.
essentially was able to come. Was it 800? Okay. um was allowed to come into the country with no fees, no imports, nothing. It
Right.
completely skirted around any sort of international tariffs, which is, by the way, there's always been tariffs on China, like as
Yeah.
under Obama, Trump, Biden. I mean, there's always been tariffs, but these small products like this little, game console thing I bought, it's small enough package wise that it just, as long as there's no bomb in it, it skirts its way through customs on the import, and there's no additional fees with it, and it's a huge, huge problem. Um, and that's finally being stripped out.
Yeah.
So let me get this straight. What they're doing is they have a fulfillment center in the US.
Right.
So they're shipping everything to the fulfillment center,
Right.
and then the fulfillment center is sending it out to the US.
The fulfillment center is going to pay the duty,
Yep.
the taxes, the whatever, and then you buy it from. It's just like a dealer or
Yeah,
a
I thought
merchant.
that's how
But
it
they
was set
already
up.
have that.
What?
They
The-
do already have that, but
Yeah.
what the big thing that they're doing now is because all of the smaller products are now going to face that level of duty or tariff or
Oh,
import fee.
Yep.
I suspect because they don't want to show the consumer that, they'll just drop ship everything to this third party fulfillment company that will then sell it on Temu or AliExpress as a US seller, because the product will be, once the import, the company that is receiving the package in the warehouse is going to pay all the fees. once they ship it from there anywhere in the United States, there's no additional fees or costs associated minus shipping. So it's a way they're not skirting around anything, but the middleman is going to eat they're not going to eat it. They're going to pass it along, but they'll be eating the tariff cost instead of the end consumer,
This
for lack
is
of a better term.
this is wholesale. So
Yes, it
like
is.
it's a
Yes, literally
wholesale.
wholesale.
Yeah, so like a wholesale company buys a bunch of stock, then they get a deal from it, and then they slap on 20% increase and then sell it to other people.
Hmm. Absolutely. If you've got the money in the space to, I mean, that happens right now anyway. The drop shipping has become a very popular, and it's not exactly the same, but people are making a lot of money essentially operating as middlemen drop shippers. It's very interesting. It's
Yep.
bad for the drop shippers are bad for the consumer because you're not buying a product from anybody that's ever had it in hand. You have no warranty or uh no, you're not there's not nobody you're buying it from that has a return policy because they're never actually physically owning the product. Creates a lot of weird stuff.
I mean, if you look at uh, Temu, when you buy something, a lot of them now, or for some time now, they're saying fulfilled from a local warehouse or sold by from. They said that it's in the States. It's not coming from China directly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at their
So
website right now, and right on the top it says no import charge for local warehouse items.
right, yeah,
So
yep,
it's all still coming from China. Let's be clear.
yeah. It's all Chinese
Um,
stuff, but it's being done right now.
yeah, it's being done right, and they're doing it in a way in which they're not going to be passing the fee along to you technically in the final checkout cost. They will, like Katie said, there'll just be a small fee additionally on top of it. But you're not really going to know that.
Yeah, in other words, the government is going to make its share, going to get its share from all this import stuff, which they
Yeah,
should have.
yeah. I mean, you're talking about
Yeah,
billions of dollars worth of,
yep,
excuse my language, billions of dollars worth of cheap Chinese shit that
yep,
comes in from Temu and AliExpress that they've never paid any.
right.
I I got this little video game thing shipped to my house for $29 from China, and that's insane. No fees.
Yeah, yep. I mean, it
S-
was nice as long as it's lasted,
It was
but
nice for
it's
the consumer,
yeah,
absolutely. I mean,
yeah,
it was nice to be able to get that stuff, but it was completely it was hurting. You know, look at Amazon. Yes, a lot of Chinese stuff. It was killing Amazon because it's hard. I mean, you can go on AliExpress or Temu and find an Amazon equivalent product for pennies on the dollar. So it was hurting Amazon. I would argue it was hurting places like Walmart and Target. And now these companies are going to have to play by some level of rules for their product being shipped into the United States.
yep.
There's a
Uh,
website. I'll see if I can find it before the end of the show, but there's a website where you take an Amazon listing and put it in. And then it shows you where you can buy it on Temu and AliExpress. And you'll see it, a $30 Amazon product that's selling for $6 on AliExpress. It's literally the exact same thing. Obviously, it'll take a little bit longer to get there.
mm,
You're not going to have the support like you do with Amazon, but that's the process. And it's pretty amazing.
all right, Nick.
Yo.
I'm sure you talked about it a lot on your show and on probably on infection. The big news this week with Apple,
The which big news?
the
The
decision,
announcement?
the announcement about the App Store.
No, we've not talked about it yet.
You're kidding.
No, I didn't talk about it on my show.
Well,
What's going
um,
on?
the judge said they're going to have to open it. So they also said Apple has updated its App Store guidelines to comply with a court order from the Epic Game lawsuit.
Oh, this
Now,
only happened a day ago. Yeah.
no, it happened in the beginning of the week, Monday.
Really?
Yeah. Now
Hmm.
allowing US apps to include external payment links and buttons without needing special approval. The app review guidelines have been updated for compliance with the United States court decision regarding buttons, external links, and other calls to action in apps. These changes affect app distributed on the United States storefront of the App Store. Now, not only that, so now what I mean, there's a lot of other customers, I mean, a lot of other vendors that uh, are doing something. So, Spotify has submitted an iOS app update that would allow US customers to use payment options
PayPal.
beyond Apple's system.
Nice.
The company said the move follows when it was Wednesday that it
Okay.
happened. The
Yeah.
move follows Wednesday Epic Games versus Apple, which prohibits Apple from taking a cut of non-Apple payment systems and from controlling how developers inform users about alternative payment methods.
Can I
It
read some
was,
of the? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gal.
yeah, just a reminder. It was always possible, right? It's just they weren't allowed to show those options on the Mac OS. Yeah, on the iOS app, right?
Well,
You
then,
could pay. You could have a subscription with Spotify on PayPal, right?
You'd have to do it on the
Because you did
computer, though.
right because you did
Yeah.
it on the website, but on the app, it wasn't even allowed to show that
Correct.
it's an option.
And this is a big deal. I'm using Patreon
there
for
we go. Here you
my
go.
podcast, and Patreon, when somebody subscribes on iOS, there's
Don't
a huge fee that's taken out
well,
because
don't worry
that
about it anymore.
30%. Why?
Following a major court ruling limiting Apple's control over App Store payments, Patreon plans to update its iOS app to allow payments outside Apple's system.
To allow, but are they going to force it is the question.
I
That's
don't know.
really
Letting
the question.
It says letting creators keep more of their earnings. Spotify and Patreon are also preparing similar, and Proton are also preparing similar updates.
Let me read.
Yeah.
This is I've never seen this in a court order before. Quote,
It's
this is an injunction, not a negotiation. There are no do-overs once a party willfully disregards a court order. Time is of the essence. The court will not tolerate further delays as previously ordered, and Apple will not impede competition. End quote. I mean, that's very rare when you've got a judge. Well, and the reality is Apple lost this battle, what, 2 years ago or something like that, essentially in the
Right.
UK. And they have just been stonewalling this to high hell and back. Good. This is great for everybody involved. For most people, they will still pay directly with Apple because it's the most convenient way to pay. But the fact that companies now will have the opportunity to use Stripe or some other sort of payment interface for the monthly subscription that they sell. I mean, you look at something like Spotify, it's what, $12 a month or something like that. If you subscribe to that through Apple, they are getting 30% of $12 a month forever, providing absolutely zero service. I mean, it's absurd. And it's illegal, obviously, as a court has ruled. So I can't wait to see let me see when Patriot, let me see if they've updated their app. Um, yeah, I'm seeing if they've updated
Yeah, that'll be
their
interesting.
app. They haven't done it now. Last updates last week.
So wait, my brain hurts. Does that mean that Apple can't charge the 30% anymore,
They
or
can,
that there's
and they
ways to get
will.
around it?
They can and they will, but the apps are allowed to, on the iOS apps, are allowed to provide alternatives. That's the difference. They were Apple's rules before said you want to put stuff on my app store, then the only way of payment can be the Apple Pay.
Right.
Now, Apple Pay is still going to be there. I don't know even. It'll be interesting if it's mandatory, or me as an app maker, I can say you can pay me however I want, and I don't want Apple Pay, for example, right? That'll be interesting because that will cause them, if that exists, then that will cause them to renegotiate these fees and to take them down to competitive market value, right? Instead of just I am the boss, they now need to openly compete. So it'll be interesting.
I mean, we're talking about potentially. I mean, is it unsafe? Is it inaccurate to say or inaccurate to say hundreds of billions of dollars a year that Apple's probably making worldwide in these transactions? I mean, everything.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not
Well,
hundreds
keep
of
in
billions,
mind,
but it's tens of billions for sure.
right? It's gonna cut into their income for sure.
Yeah.
But keep in mind that most iOS users, right, if they've already set up Apple Pay, they will prefer Apple Pay on something else. They don't really care
Yeah.
that there's but one thing that might come out of it is you, Nick. You can say on Patreon, uh, if Patreon will allow that, right? You could say, hey, yeah, you can use Apple Pay. It'll cost you like $2 more a month for the same contribution that I am getting, right? And then that'll divert the attention to, let's say, PayPal that only takes 8%, or Venmo or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Sounds like I'm switching to PayPal. So I do a lot of Patreon too, but I had to go through. This is where I'm confused because I had to go through PayPal. Oh, because I did it online. So if
Yes,
I do it
always. Yes, do it
on
online.
my
Yep.
computer, I had to go through PayPal, and then I downloaded the app, and then it went through Apple Pay. But now I'll just make sure that when I want to support these creators, I go through PayPal.
Just do it.
right.
Yeah, do it on. I always do Patreon subscriptions online on the
I didn't
website
realize it was
because
30%.
and
That
it,
is ridiculous.
well, it's not. So
Yes.
this is the so this is the craziest shit about it. Not only is it 30%, it takes 90 days to get your money from people that subscribe via iOS.
Wow.
Um.
That's crazy
So
because I mean these
yeah.
so
Excuse me.
Patreon
75 days. Pardon me.
because the Patreon or these other apps or what or services like if you're a content creator, they probably take like I don't know 15 to 20%, and then on top of the 30% from Apple, you're talking about only earning like pennies on some things because some Patreon subscriptions are like $1, so it's like that's insane.
Yep.
Yeah. Patreon's got a nice little. Patreon's got a nice little. Let's see if I can pull this up. They've got a nice little chart that shows like what the normal price breakdown is. Patreon is 2.9% plus, I guess, 30 cents per transaction, something like that. When you buy through the iOS app, there's the platform fee of 5% plus 30% of Apple, which now they're allowing you to automatically increase the price for people that buy on iOS, and they get a notice about that. The
Good.
bottom one is the real issue. Without the um, additional cost, you can see how much. I mean, when it's all said and done, 35% of your revenue is being gobbled away, and it's gone right off the bat. So it's very important for especially small creators. I had somebody subscribe on Apple, and they did a lump sum payment, and I just got it like 2 weeks ago because it was on hold for 75 days.
All right. And so what happened is with Epic Games is taking a victory lap
I'm sure they are.
after notching a big win against Apple in a years-long legal dispute. Epic announced that its Epic Game Store will allow developers to open web shops, which can offer players out-of-app purchases to circumvent fees from Apple and Google. With the Epic Game Store's new web shop features, other developers will be more easily able to follow suit.
It's so great. They have, for years now, developers have been perfecting this system, just
Mhm.
waiting for the lawsuit to finalize so that they could turn it on. I mean, Tim Sweeney, who has waged war against Apple over this, has probably had his team working around the clock for 2 years, getting this thing absolutely perfect so that he could just flip the switch whenever they won. And I guess that
Yeah, but
was
you know what
Wednesday
happens when
afternoon.
you know what happens when he flips the switch?
But
They become the bad guys.
Well, I think they become the bad guys if they charge exorbitant fee. I mean, Steam operates the same way on PC. Steam charges something, it's somewhere in the mid 20s, I think. It may even be 30% for Steam, which is the largest PC marketplace. Um, the only difference is there's not really any competition. I mean, Epic has tried to uh, become competition with the Epic Game Store, but it's not. I mean, not even close to comparable.
They also have a
And
flat
so,
fee of $100. So
yeah,
every time you
to list a game.
yeah, to list a game. And which if you're like, oh, Skyrim or these big games, you're like, oh, that's nothing. But a lot of the indie people that maybe won't sell a lot of games, like $100 is a lot of money.
$100
I
and then
mean,
20 or 30% of your
I
each
think
sale
it's
is being gobbled
I
up.
think it's 30%. Like I
Yeah,
remember seeing it was like super high.
yeah. And he's waging war against them, against Steam, but he can't really. There's no lawsuit to really bring because they don't have the they don't
there's no
have the
monopoly. Yeah.
there's no monopoly. Exactly. It's a
Yeah.
completely different ball game. But that's been a big issue for people for a long time, but it's really the only game marketplace on PC.
Right. They win on real estate basically. They have
Yeah.
the real estate. They have the users.
Oh, it's insane.
But yeah, but it's not a monopoly. Like nobody can claim that because there's itch, there's another one that I frequent. There's GOG, there's right, and there's Epic and EA. They sell directly, and uh, so yeah, I mean EA, they sell on their store, but they also sell on Steam, and they probably sell on Steam more because that's where the user prefer to make their business,
Mhm.
take
Just
their
to
business.
just to kind of talk about the magnitude of Steam, they've got their Steam charts that are available as we're talking this morning. This is online. There are 38 million people that are currently logged in and active on Steam.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it is a stupidly large marketplace. By the
Eh,
way, GTA 6 got its announcement date because while we're talking video games,
What?
Yeah.
May of next year.
Wow. Okay, now
So you mean in 3 years?
No, May of next year. I believe it.
yeah, they
can't use
said that
that joke
they
anymore.
actually delayed it until then. It was supposed to come earlier.
It was supposed to come out sometime. Well, they never announced an actual release date. They was supposed to come out May of this year. Originally, rumors were, and
Okay.
then it was rumored to be pushed back to the fall of this year. But they'd never actually said here's when it's coming out. So now they've got it's like May 16th or 15th or something of next year.
But here's
Which
the next
sucks.
important question. What about the next Skyrim?
Well, they just did the huge remaster of
Yeah, but it's remastered.
Oblivion.
It's
Yeah.
not. We want a new game. So
Well,
we
that's
got,
fine. Well, we can want anything we want, Katie. You're shit out of luck. I mean, they just
know,
did the
but that's the
remaster, so
two- those are-
enjoy it, and live with it. And that's
Those
all
are
you
the
got.
two jokes, though. The two jokes is
Yeah.
that GTA 6 will never come out, and then it's been 20 years, and Bethesda will not make a new Skyrim game.
Correct.
Look, the risk of taking out another GTA, right? GTA is still making them a ton of money.
It's made $10 billion
Exactly.
in its lifetime, and the game came out in 2011. It's 14 years old,
and it's still selling, right?
Yes.
That's the
And
thing.
people are still
It's
buying
still
shark
selling.
cards.
Online microtransaction are still online, are still happening. The moment they come out with GTA 6, they are killing GTA 5, basically, right? what will happen is it's not as if they'll have a small amount of users that are still going to be GTA 5 diehards, right?
Sure.
And they'll need to preserve that ecosystem for a while, but the attention will focus. And that means it's a risk because once the attention is changed, it might not go to GTA 6, right? GTA 6 will create the earthquake, but it might not stay in GTA 6. And that's the thing, right? That's why it's if they don't need to put out the game, they don't need to.
Well,
Well,
Just
to
keep
Gal's
making money.
to Gal's point, GTA 6 or GTA 5, excuse me, is this is right now is the 10th most played game on Steam at this moment. It's got 100,000 people playing it right now, like as we speak. Um so it's still incredibly popular. By the way, it's estimated that they're spending somewhere in the ballpark of between 2 and 4 billion dollars developing the new one,
Lord of
which
mercy.
is
That is
crazy. I
nuts.
think the first one was half a billion, and that was like, wow. Or GTA 5, excuse me. It's $500 million. And they're like, wow, that's crazy. This one
Keep in
is
mind, there is no Avatar, right? There is no Hollywood production that goes that high.
no. I mean, it's insane. Well, and I mean, you look at the ROI. Let's assume they spent $500 million on GTA 5. They've generated $10 billion worth of revenue. It
Exactly.
very, very much paid for
Nuts.
itself and paid for itself over and over and over again. I'm very excited. The only problem, and this is gonna the tariffs are gonna come into this, is it does not come out on PC on launch, Katie. So you're going to have to go buy either the latest generation Xbox or PlayStation to play the game, which sucks.
It's okay. I don't ever buy the big games the first year it comes out. I always buy
Well,
them.
you're not gonna have some major FOMO on GTA 6, I
Nah.
suspect. You
Nah,
don't
I'll
think
be
so?
okay. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, and I waited a year and a half before I bought Hogwarts Legacy. I could do
Yeah,
it.
but that game sucked on
What? The
launch.
game was fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah, but it's on launch. On launch it had major problems.
Oh, that's what you mean. Yeah,
That's
all
her
games have
point.
GTA is gonna have a buttload of problems too. All the games nowadays all have buttloads of problems.
That's true.
So it's okay. I won't be missing out.
So I'm
Right.
gonna have
Look
to.
at
GTA is
Cyberpunk,
gonna
right?
be, yeah, disaster.
And today
GTA
it's
is
considered
gonna
a good game.
GTA is gonna cost me probably close to $1,000 once I buy the new system, buy the
Um,
game, and
eh,
then have to buy it again on PC when it comes out a year later. So
Yep.
it's
now,
gonna be $1,000 investment for a stupid video game.
now you're talking about the system.
Yeah, I saw Microsoft this week.
Yeah, Microsoft is raising prices for Xbox consoles globally with the flagship Series X jumping $100
Mhm.
to $599. The more affordable Series S will increase by $80, while game prices will reach $80 later this year. So maybe if you want a new one, then you should go and buy it now. Is that the case?
Oh, it's already been
Oh,
implemented, I think.
oh.
Why increase the game prices?
No, well, see, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier about the whole Logitech thing. They can use. There's been discussions for years about making AAA titles 79. Well, first it was 59, then it became
Right.
69, then now it's jumping to 79. And this is a great excuse as tariffs, which is ridiculous because there are no tariff costs on a digital video game. I mean, it's not, and the discs are not being. Those discs are being
No,
mastered
I
in the
mean,
United States.
I would
Um,
agree that the equipment that offices use, right, has
yeah,
increased. But still,
sure.
I think
It
this is just hogwash, right?
This is a good excuse
Yeah.
and a good justification to raise prices. By the way, which never come down. The price of a new
Right.
video game will forever be. And by the way, Nintendo was the first to do this with the announcement of the Switch 2. Because I think new Switch 2 games are either 69 or 79. I think they're 69. Or maybe, yeah, somewhere between that, those two price points. They started this, and now Microsoft they can see the blood in the water, and they're going to jump on it too. And
Yeah.
Sony will do the same thing. Every AAA game will now be, yeah, it's 60. So every new AAA game will be $79. It's insane.
There's one thing Nintendo somehow maintains, right? People who use the Switch, and I think you'll agree with me as one who has one, actually prefer buying the physical media, the physical SD cards compared to the digital downloads,
Yeah, well, it's funny
more
because
than more than any other platform.
yeah, I think there's something with the Switch where you're still like there's still this opportunity to share games with people that doesn't really happen when it comes to an Xbox or PlayStation. Used to be, not anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
And so
Well,
I think there's something to having the physical game. If I'm like, oh, Katie, you're not playing this game anymore, I'd like to try it. She can give me the little chip, and I'm good to go.
there,
Um,
right.
there's
they've done a good job with
also
that.
with the Switch games or Nintendo games, there's a huge aftermarket collection
Yeah,
industry. And
that's true as well.
like if you try to buy an old Pokemon game, it's like not even old, like 2 years ago Pokemon game, it's gonna cost as much as a brand new one, even though it's like 2 or 3, 5 years old or whatever. Like the aftermarket for collecting Nintendo games, I don't see the same thing in Xbox or PlayStation games. Sure, there's like one hit or some. I think there's like some Resident Evil games that are like collectible or whatever, but a majority, I'd say at least like 30% of like Nintendo games when they come out, people just want to have them to collect them.
I mean, here's a Pokemon Fire Red version for the Game Boy Advance, which came out in 2004, so it's 21 years old. Is selling for like between $100 and $200 on eBay. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just a.
it's
I mean,
yeah,
this is it. It's just this stupid little thing, and that's why I bought my emulator with all my illegal games to play this game specifically. I spent $30 on the whole unit, so
and I
it
bet
was a
you if
great
you
deal for
go
me.
and then you try to find a PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 game, they're probably worth nothing unless, again, like I said, maybe there's like a special edition thing, which is like an outlier.
Yeah, what's the one? Where's the one where he plays the Disney characters? Kingdom Hearts. That's really popular. I think those prices are still pretty high, but everything else is just like pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, yeah.
I need to go through. I did this probably back about 5 years ago. I went through my retro game collection to see if anything was worth a lot of money. I need to do that again and see if I can sell some crap that I'm not going to play anyway for
Well, any
you
of
know
the Zelda
$100.
games, any of the Pokemon games, those are the
Yeah, I
top
don't have any.
two.
I don't have
Uh,
any of those. I don't think.
some of the Mario games, but yeah, Zelda and Pokemon, they always are more expensive.
No Xbox or PlayStation games though. I guess I need to go through
There
and look.
there is I don't know specifically, but I know there's some niche ones or whatever that
Yeah.
are like if you posted a Pokemon game online at a reasonable price, you'd probably sell it in a week. But the other ones that I'm thinking of, like the Xbox and PlayStation, that if you post them, you could probably get like a couple $100 for them, but it would take you a year to sell.
Mm. Yeah, I need to go through my well, first I need to go through and actually digitize my collection so I can keep track of what I'm excuse me, what I have in inventory. Is there a site? Do you have a good site for that, Katie?
No, I don't. I stopped buying consoles when everybody started charging for me to have access to the internet, and that just pissed me off. And I said nope, and then I switched to PC, and I've never gone back. I take that back. I do have a Switch, but I don't pay the extra fee for multiplayer. I just play the single player games.
Yeah. The Switch Online is super annoying.
I believe it.
It very much limits what you can do.
Yeah, it seems like Nintendo have not tapped into the online market. It seems like that somehow local, yes, for multiplaying, but online, no. Switch users are not interested in, probably because there is a huge children market that parents don't want the kids on online anyway. But I don't know. It's like
The
it's the
the bit
only it's the only one that online doesn't make sense, right?
agreed. And this is, you talk about a company that just seemingly doesn't really know what's going on, and it's Nintendo. They have got so much money that they are leaving on the table with their back catalog of intellectual property that is not available to legally purchase. And I use that word clearly, to legally purchase anywhere. Pokemon is super uh hot right now. Everybody's talking about it. you cannot legally purchase versions of those games to play right now. There's just, I mean, you can buy the old cartridges and you can buy an old Game Boy Advance from literally 20 years ago, but there is
Right.
no modern place to purchase or play those games, which is why these little console things that I brought up last week are super popular right now because people want to play these games and there's literally no way for them to do it besides doing it illegally. I mean, Nintendo's
Yeah.
just so stupid. I will
I
never
think I
understand.
think Nintendo has fumbled a lot of the Pokemon stuff too, or a lot of
Oh yeah.
games. Talk about bad decisions. Like when Power World came out and it blew up, and so Power World is kind of like a Pokemon knockoff, except there's base building as well. Like you go and you catch these creatures, but the creatures also end up working for you. Like you make a homestead and they help you gather resources, and that's kind of what the Pokemon community they wanted not only to just like, because right now with Pokemon games you catch the Pokemon and you fight other Pokemon, and it's been that way for like 30 years, and they're like, okay, well, we want to play with these Pokemon, we want them to like, we want to have some interactions more than just like fighting other Pokemon. And Power World came out, and when the game came out, I think it was a full-fledged game. You can go and you can catch your creatures, you can build your base, and it had online support, and it was $30, the game was. And it just like proved that all of these AAA companies that are spending all this money on all this stuff are not giving what the people wanted. It's exactly what the people wanted. They wanted cute characters to catch that you could also fight, but you could build bases, do all this other stuff, and it just immediately sold out or sold. I think it had like and it's an indie game too, and I think it had like 1 million sales or 22 million sales in like the first 3 days or something ridiculous. And people were like, "This is what we want in Pokemon."
All right.
Yeah, you're hard pressed to find somebody that has fumbled the ball worse than Nintendo on that stuff. It's crazy.
Well,
One.
I mean,
Go ahead.
fumble the fumble the ball, but still making a ton, right? It's like,
Yeah.
Still make
again,
billions of
it's that
dollars.
they don't really need to. But yeah.
I mean,
So
yeah, you're right. They don't need to make the money, but I mean, you talk about an audience, a group of individuals that would forever be in good graces of that company, and they just for whatever reason won't do it. It's so and it goes to broader conversations about piracy and stealing intellectual property. When somebody doesn't care to make the product available, what do you do?
Yep.
I want to go one more point about the Apple situation, and one article mentioned that um, they were actually also found in contempt. I don't know. Apple violated a court order requiring it to open up the App Store to third-party payment option and must stop charging commissions on purchases outside the software. A federal judge said in a ruling that referred the company to prosecutors for a possible criminal probe. Uh, the first message that I got about it is that Epic won, and the judge found the company Apple in contempt of court because they did not do what they were supposed to do. But that's nor here nor there. I mean, I didn't see it any other place that they actually interpreted as such, but it's it's interesting if that's the truth. Talking about apps again, and all the Apple, I mean, Google Play's app marketplace has seen a dramatic 47% drop in available apps from 3.4 million in one to 1.8 million since the start of 2024. There were app figures attributed the decline to stricter quality standards, expanded human reviews, and increased enforcement against low quality and deceptive apps, which makes me think, oh boy, so how many of these were there? But it's interesting that over there it's also going down. Um, Guile, you're gonna like this. Firefox has launched its long-awaited tab groups feature. responding to the most upvoted request in Mozilla Connect's 3-year history. The feature allows users to organize tabs by name or color through a drag and drop interface.
I mean, I'll try it. I've
Yeah,
been using a Firefox fork called Zen for a while, so I'll give it a try.
oh well.
I'm still using Firefox, just not their UI. So, and the
Oh,
UI I'm using has something similar to groups. Has something called workspaces. So yeah, I'll give it a try. There's one thing that Zen has right now that keeps me in Zen, and it has split window. So you have multiple content of tabs, one next to the other, but then when you switch to another tab, it's a full tab, right? So you can get that window managing aspect of browsing, and for work specifically, it is very, very effective.
okay.
Keeping some content together all the time.
And here's another thing with Microsoft. Microsoft has taken its most significant step yet toward eliminating passwords by making new Microsoft accounts passwordless by default. The change means new users will never need to create a password, instead, using more secure authentication method like biometrics, pins, or security keys.
Yeah,
So
that's a lie, by the way.
it's a lie?
Yeah, I'll explain.
Okay.
So it's correct that they will not ask the user to create a password,
Right.
but they'll force you to download a recovery code, which is basically a randomly generated password,
Oh.
right?
Hmm.
I mean, you can't, because you need a way to recover, and it cannot only be just email. It needs to be email and something else, right? And so that's what I'm. If you go through the workflows today, right? You want two-factor authentication. Fine. Let's first see that you are who you are by sending you an email, right? And okay, type in the code, and now okay, connect with the app, and then after you connected with the app, it says okay, save this recovery code, right?
Okay.
It's just we're not trusting you anymore to create the password, and that's fine, right? That I'm okay with that. We all know I'm okay with that. But take this password, right? So don't say it's passwordless. It's just we're not going to ask you for this key unless something wrong happens. So that's just me
Okay.
nitpicking. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good change. It'll force people to do right, but I also think it'll cause it'll cause
Well,
some trouble. It's good,
we'll
right?
wait and see
This
how it.
trouble is good trouble.
Yeah, we'll wait and see how it turns out. I remember we discussed Redis some time ago.
Redis,
REDIS.
Redis, yeah,
Redis.
that's the key value
Whatever.
in
The
memory database from Facebook, right?
popular
Meta,
in-memory data store
yeah.
has returned to open source licensing with Redis 8 now available under a AGPL version 3 license.
All
The
right,
move,
yeah, they tried to license it. Yeah, that was stupid.
yeah, the move reverses last year controversial shift to proprietary. Yeah. So I figured you're going to like that too.
I mean, whatever they lost,
Yeah.
right? Uh,
Somebody would.
I'm guessing that open source product, open source software kept using Redis in its open source versions, right? Because everything before was open source. They can't change anything that's already in the out. So yeah, it'll allow updates. But yeah,
And for.
I wonder what made them go back. If it
I don't
hurt
know.
them in the pocket, or stagnated development.
The
which
point is that they did, and that's what's important at this point. A note to anybody who's using an LG smartphone. LG will permanently shut down its Android smartphone update servers on June 30th, ending all software, app, and security updates for its devices. If you're still using a smartphone, you'll want to install any remaining updates before that date, as no future updates will be available afterwards. I used to
From
use
LG.
LG some time ago. What? Yeah, LG.
From LG.
So if
It
you
means
are,
that if you hack the bootloader, you can
yeah, you can
install
do
an
all kind of
alternative
stuff.
ROM.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's a shame they used to have. I mean,
good
compared
phones.
to other Android phones, theirs were top notch. They
Yeah.
were expensive though. Some of them, right? Their flagships. But yeah,
Yep. And the last thing I have here is Pinterest is facing widespread user backlash over abrupt account suspensions and pin removals, with many reporting no clear reason or warning before being locked out. The
I'm guessing.
Pinterest subreddit is also currently dominated by posts from confused users who claim their accounts have been suspended without evidence explaining how they violated the platform guidelines. Users are also reporting they're experiencing an unusual high quantity of pins being deleted by Pinterest with absurd explanations such as quilting magazines, cross stitch art, and Minecraft bunk bed builds, all being flagged for adult content. I think
Yeah,
Pinterest decided to use AI and
exactly. They connected some AI
Yep.
bot that is just running amok, and
Yep. So if you're seeing something happening to your Pinterest account, know that you're not alone at that. All right.
yeah.
That's what I've got. And it's that time of day. Anything anybody else wants to add?
Nope.
Nope.
We can talk about video games for another hour.
Nick, anything you got?
Nada.
I'm assuming nothing happened with the computer. You did not have time to work on it.
Correct.
Yep.
Things have been pretty good this week, though. I haven't restarted in a couple of days. So
Knock
that's
on
been
wood.
good.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to
Yeah.
restart after we're done here, but
All right. Well, so thanks, Nick. Thanks, Katie. Thanks, Gal. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Donna, Dina, Mati, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov, and Yael. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. And change any same password where you use them. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 a.m., Nick hosts the Carolina Journal News Hour on WBT in Charlotte, 11:10 a.m., 99.3 FM, and on YouTube. Just go to the Carolina Journal News. Just search for on YouTube for Carolina Journal News Hour, and you get the details. Also, Nick does his Nick Craig Show every day from 7 to weekdays, 7 till 8. Political. Just go to nickcraig.com and get details about where to watch it or download previously recorded shows. Lastly, Nick and Brian host the Infection podcast every week on Twitch. That's for gaming, gaming news, and some political stuff here and there. So go to infectionpodcast.com and get the details there. Have a great week, and we'll be back together next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.